Aquaman, in his long and storied history, has really two main arch-enemies. Those two people are Black Manta and Ocean Master.
His brother, Ocean Master, probably poses the most threat because whenever family's involved, it complicates things.
There's no conflict in your life like a sibling conflict. The conflict between Aquaman and Ocean Master, also called Orm, taps into all those deep sort of family tensions, the mixture of love and hate.
He's jealous of the older brother, and he's jealous of what the older brother is set to inherit.
And that's where Aquaman's story becomes Greek, becomes Shakespearean, becomes mythic.
It's King Arthur stories, you know, it's the wet version of Camelot. The reason they named him Arthur in the first place is to just get that backstory across without even having to show it all. Atlantis is England, and there's a fight for the throne.
Welcome, bastard. Is Atlantis everything you dreamed of, brother?
One of the key issues in sibling rivalry is whether one sibling feels like he or she is not getting what they deserve. And this is central to Ocean Master. Ocean Master believes he deserves to be king. He deserves to rule Atlantis. So when his half-brother, Aquaman, is ruling Atlantis, he feels unbelievably frustrated. Because it's not just that I want that, but that I deserve that. It should come to me.
People like that are always a little creepy to start with. You know, the people who feel everything is owed to them.
Someday, Mira, I will be on the throne and you will guard my body.
It's not only personal between them, there's also a philosophical debate that they're having. As members of the royal family of Atlantis, Aquaman and his half-brother Orm differ politically on what's best for their people.
Orm represents frustration at how the world treats the oceans.
The surface world wants us dead.
He thinks the way to achieve peace within Atlantis and the oceans and keep the oceans safe is to basically destroy the surface world.
He's definitely a separatist. He wants to keep his world apart from the corrupt outside world.
And Aquaman, being from the surface world, sees it a little differently. And so because of that, there's a constant conflict between the two.
Aquaman is literally horning in on his territory.
Kill the humans for Atlantis!
Ocean Master thinks he is right. As most villains do, he thinks he's on the side of right. He definitely has a point about the oceans being polluted, and if there were an Atlantis, they'd have a justified reason for being resentful.
They poison our oceans. They will destroy this planet and take Atlantis with it.
It's very understandable. You know, you can identify with a guy who wants to just have his own little patch of water instead of a patch of land.
Victory is the only way to ensure our safety.
We can't just dismiss him. He's not a psychopath. He's a person with whom Aquaman has a genuine disagreement. And that means that Aquaman can't easily dismiss him either.
Black Manta, some people just suck and are evil, and I can't give him any kind of valid, justifiable reason for what he's doing, other than he's greedy and he wants stuff.
Black Manta's story has been kind of tweaked and altered many times over the years.
There's various versions of his origin.
It's interesting to think about Black Manta as a character created in the 1960s, to think about historically what was going on, most notably the civil rights movement. And underneath the helmet, Black Manta was an African-American person.
I was like, whoa, there's a black villain? I had never seen that before, so I was like, whoa, he's even cooler than I thought. It's like, if Shaft was in a Darth Vader uniform. It's like, it blew my mind. Then he killed Aquaman's kid, and that kind of sucked.
The best comic book villains reveal something important about the hero. And Black Manta served this purpose in many stories for Aquaman, but in one in particular. In that story, Black Manta, in an act of vengeance, causes Aquaman's son to be killed.
That was like the worst thing you could do at comics at the time. To actually see it happen in the comic book, in the story, was really major.
And then the question is, what does Aquaman do in response? He, of course, chases down Black Manta, fights Black Manta, and now has an opportunity to deliver the killing blow. And he resists. He refuses to descend to the level of his foe, and reveals what is it that makes him a hero. It's not that he's stronger than Black Manta. It's not that he has different powers than Black Manta. It's that he doesn't kill. He doesn't live for vengeance. He isn't controlled by those dark emotions the way his foe is. So it's a terrible story and a tragic story, but one that ultimately reveals just what it is that makes Aquaman the hero that he is.
Black Manta, to a lot of fans, is just like the ultimate supervillain.
The best versions of Black Manta are the ones where he's in it for the money. He's a mercenary, a high-tech pirate, an updated version of a pirate.
The thing about Black Manta is that he's chosen to fight his biggest battles under the sea, which is a place that is fundamentally inhospitable to him. He cannot naturally breathe underwater. He is not a creature of the sea the way Aquaman is. So he's going to a place that can kill him without anyone laying a punch on him.
He's definitely a human who makes do with his own personal abilities. He would not be an equal to Aquaman if he didn't have all that technology. He couldn't survive the pressure of the ocean. He couldn't do anything underwater for any amount of time if he didn't have a diving bell on his head.
He's fun, he's a badass. Our character designers love redesigning him, messing with his costume a little bit. You know, as long as you have the diving helmet and he's in black, you've nailed it.
The differences in the costumes between Black Manta and Ocean Master tell you a lot about the differences in their personalities. Black Manta's costume is designed to conceal and protect. It's black, he hides in the shadows. The helmet that he wears entirely obscures his identity, and that's consistent with his personality. You know, he's a creature of the shadows. He's trying to hide from the world by going under the sea and taking over. Ocean Master is the polar opposite. His costume is flamboyant. Now, over different comic book stories, it's been more or less colorful, but it's always flamboyant. He wears a cape, he has an absurd mask, and you can see part of his face around the mask. Ocean Master is grandiose, and he's royalty. There's something sort of almost camp about that guy. Ocean Master's costume expresses who he is. Black Manta's suppresses who he is and protects him from a dangerous world. One thing that's true about Black Manta and Ocean Master is that both of them were created in the 1960s. At that point, a great costume carried you pretty far as a villain. And what was true of both of those guys is that they started out as a great costume. We didn't know anything about the people underneath the costume. We didn't care, and comic book readers didn't care as long as they looked cool.
When Ocean Master was created, he was very similar to Black Manta in that he was a human that needed to have a special suit to deal with the ocean. By making him Atlantean, it makes him a more unique villain.
For these particular villains, the challenge over the subsequent decades has been to fill out the people underneath those costumes.
We try to make all the, either be they a hero or a villain, we try to make them people. We try to make them work as characters who have understandable motivations for what they do, whether it's justified or not.
Ocean Master is much more the villain that you can identify with because he's having something that he's assumed he would have taken away from him suddenly by a virtual stranger. And that's a good motivation. And that's something that every viewer can identify with.
And everything he does comes out of him being hurt. And feeling, everyone wants love, Orm didn't get it, and now he's going to make people pay.
It's a personal hurt that goes along with it. It's like, imagine you find out you have a brother and he's just spent an hour and a half trying to kill you in a movie. That's not cool.
A character like Black Manta and Ocean Master both of them have redeeming features, potentially redeeming features. So Black Manta's a technological genius. Some comic book writers have compared Black Manta to a sort of a twisted version of Batman, or an underwater Batman, if things didn't go Batman's way. Ocean Master is a member of the royal family who genuinely cares for the people of Atlantis.
This is all falling apart!
They have the potential to be redeemed. Now, comic books are ongoing stories, so those redemption stories never get really resolved. But that potential helps keep these from being mere two-dimensional characters, gives them richness, and makes them interesting to new audiences.